So what invalidates fasting? There are things that are agreed upon. So in the Quran, food, drinking, and sexual intercourse invalidates your fasting. This goes without saying. This is the consensus of all Muslims. Anyone who goes against this is a kafir. Because this is mentioned in black and white in the Quran. So number one is food and drinking. Anything that goes into your stomach. Even if you swallow a stone, which is not supposed to be nourishing you, but still it is considered to be eating stone. This would invalidate your fasting. So even if you swallow medication, this is invalidating your fasting. To the extent that the Prophet said to Laqit ibn Saburah, may Allah be pleased with him, the Prophet said, unless you are fasting. And this means that your nasal cavity is one of the ways to your stomach. So you must be careful not to sniff water while making wudu high up your nostrils, for the fear that you may swallow some of it and then this impacts your fasting. Now, having said that, it is important to know that nasal drops, if it reaches your stomach and you find its taste, but eardrops, eye drops, these don't impact your fasting because it is not a normal way to your stomach, like your nose and your mouth. Number two, sexual intercourse. So if a person has sexual intercourse during the daytime of Ramadan without any obstacle that prevents him from fasting, such as being a traveler can have intercourse during the daytime of Ramadan because he's exempted from fasting. We're talking about a normal person who has no excuse. Then this breaks the day of fasting, and he's ordered to make up for that day he missed, and he's punished by an expiation, which is to free a slave, which is not possible nowadays. And if he's unable, then he has to fast 2 consecutive months, not missing a day, without a legitimate reason. And if he's unable to do that, then he has to feed 60 persons that are poor in exchange as an expiation for breaking a day of Ramadan through intercourse. Now, part of the things that break your fasting is what you can list underneath the previous things that you've mentioned. So for example, eating and drinking. What constitutes as a substitute to eat? Nutrients that would suffice him from eating and drinking. In this case, IV would count as something that breaks your fasting. It's not mentioned in the book here, but maybe inshallah it will be mentioned in newer versions. So you have to have an IV to break your fast, which substitutes for eating and drinking. But if you have an injection, vaccine for example, or an antibiotic, or an injection that gets your temperature and fever down, this doesn't impact your fasting unless it was put in a bottle of IV and mixed with glucose in a drip and given to you over the duration of half an hour. Then this breaks your fasting. Fourthly, intentional ejaculation, which is known as masturbation. So if a person does not have sexual intercourse but masturbates and ejaculates, this invalidates, this breaks his day. But It is not as of intercourse, and hence there is no expiation for masturbating and ejaculating during the day of Ramadan, though it's a major sin. What about nocturnal emission, or what they call as wet dreams? No, this is unintentional. This is something that is beyond your control. So it does not impact your fasting at all. Number 5, deliberate vomiting. And why do we say deliberate? Where the Prophet ﷺ says, when one of you vomits unintentionally, he should continue to fast. But when someone vomits intentionally, he has broken his fast. He has to make up for that day. What does that mean? Someone has a very heavy pre-dawn meal, a very heavy suhoor, and after a couple of hours, without intending it, continue to fast. You're good to go. This is different to someone who is so agitated, so heartburnt because of the food he had, and he's uneasy with it, so he inserts his fingers in his mouth and throws up, or smells something that makes his stomach turn and throws up. This person has to make up for the missed days that missed day, because he did that intentionally, as the hadith stated. Number 6, I think, cupping. Cupping is an issue of dispute among scholars. And what is cupping? Cupping is hijama, and it is one of the 3 forms of healing in Islam, which the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, that healing revolves around these 3 things: a drink of honey, a slash of the blade of someone doing cupping, and cauterization, warming or heating a piece of metal, certain spots of the body. This is the 3rd type. So hijama or cupping is a highly recommended sunnah that the Prophet did, ﷺ, and paid the one who did it 1 dinar. And it is one of the best medications for fatigue and as well as migraine. So it helps tremendously those who have migraines. Now, the scholars have differed whether it invalidates fasting or not, and it's a long discussion. And the most authentic opinion is that it does not invalidate fasting, though it is highly recommended not to do it while fasting, because it definitely makes your system down and makes you tired, and some even may feel unable to continue to fast. But there is a hadith that the Prophet ﷺ had performed cupping while he was fasting, and this hadith, by the way, is reported in Sahih al-Bukhari, so there's no way we can say that it is weak. The fact that it is not an authentic hadith, or not a strong hadith, where the Prophet said, "Aftar al-hajim wal-mahjum," that the one who does cupping to others and the one who is being performed over, they both have nullified their fasting. That is not an authentic hadith. Number 7, women being in their menses and postnatal bleeding and not discharge. This is also agreed upon. Once a woman gets it, she has to break her fast, whether she likes it or not. And number 8, intending to break the fast. The intention to break the fast, if it is firm, then it breaks the fast. And I'll give you an example. I have a stomach ache, and I'm thinking, should I break or not? Most likely I'm gonna break fasting because I'm sick. I can break my fasting. This is a concession from Allah Azza wa Jal. Okay, I'm gonna break my fasting. That done. I'm not fasting anymore. But all what I'm missing is something to eat or drink. But my intention inside is done, totally out. And this can be realized when you're driving and the adhan of Maghrib is cold and you don't have water, you don't have any type of food next to you. So in your heart, your intention is my fasting is over and it's done. So, but this is pretty tricky because so many people may get wiswas of shaitan. Breaking my fast or not? Oh, I think I did. I have to make up my days. This is wiswas. This is OCD. This is from shaitan. Don't let shaitan play with you like a football and toss you left, right, and center. Why would you intend to break your fast? It's just a thought that crossed your mind. Just shrug your shoulders and ignore it. It has no impact on you.